Welcome back to Real Estate 101. I'm your host, Joe Terceira, and today we're going to continue our discussion on home staging, and I'm pleased to be joined by Michelle Finnamore of Michelle Finnamore Interiors. Michelle, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Joe. Glad to be here.
So Michelle, sometimes when I'm doing a listing presentation, I always recommend or ask my sellers, that I think it's a good idea to bring in a home stager for a consultation. Sometimes they'll say they want to test the market first. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, testing the market is one way of doing it. I wouldn't recommend it. What happens is that all the people that were interested in your house have actually gone on and bought another house. So that's not a good situation to be in. It's much better to have your home prepared for listing photos, get the interested parties in right away, have it staged, have it sold, and not have to go back later and say, well, now what are we going to do? And you're going to be looking at price reductions, which is not a good thing, which is another reason why you want to be doing your home staging first. Home staging is always less money than that first price reduction, hands down. I haven't seen anything different in all the years I've been doing this.
So sellers, they watch these HGTV shows and they see these promotions of these big overhauls on people's homes, and they ask me, how can we justify such a big cost to do a home staging? They don't see a return.
That's right. It's really hard for sellers to get their minds wrapped around this. And plus, on TV, they never show you the labor part. When they tell you it's $2,000 or $3,000 and the seller already thinks that that's a lot of money, they don't realize there's labor on top of that. So it's really important that I'm there to answer their questions and let them see that I can still come in, do a consultation. We can use whatever they have there in their home. If I don't see what I'm looking for, I'll ask them, can you borrow this from friends or family? And I always suggest that they do talk to people and let them know they're staging, because everyone does watch the HGTV shows. As soon as you say you're staging, they say, oh, I love those shows. I wish I could do that. And you say, you know what? You can, because I'm staging. Why don't you come on over and help me? And I need this and this. So we actually do get that house staged. No matter what the budget is, they may have family reasons or health reasons, whatever it is, why they can't do that staging job. And I will find a way for them to make that happen.
All right. Now, another concern that sellers have is, with children and pets, they fear they can't live in a staged home. How does that? What do you do to, I guess, ease that for them?
That's right. It's a huge issue for people. They are under enough stress as it is. Just even the thoughts of moving. That poor person with those children or those pets is wondering, how am I going to handle this? I can barely handle getting through my day sometimes. I'm so busy. So we do have processes in place, and we do give them direct things that they can do, and they're simple things that will make it easier. So when they are preparing the house for sale and for the actual listing photos, for the actual first open house for the agents and for the public, we let them know this is how you do it. You get a very large Tupperware bin, Rubbermaid bin if they have larger things, and when the children are playing or doing their homework and you get a phone call saying, here's the showing happening in another hour or an hour and a half. Sometimes it's very short notice. Right. They can put all their things into the bin. Everybody already knows that's the process. So they're not left wondering, where do I shove this? Where do I put this? How do I get this little one to stop doing what they're doing? You make it into a game. I actually ask them to put the timer on the microwave, do the countdown, and whoever gets the most stuff in the bin first wins a sticker, but you actually give them all a sticker. We like to keep everybody happy in the house. The little ones don't understand what's going on. They literally don't. Even teenagers, they can sometimes be a little bit more difficult to deal with. So you make a bargain with them that, if they can keep their room neat for a month, they're going to get tickets to whatever their favorite show is, whatever that might be. And that's how we handle that. With pets, I do ask that they are, if at all possible, if they could stay with family or friends for the first week. It's very difficult on pets sometimes. They really don't take well to all the new smells and things being moved around the house and things like that. We don't want to stress them out. They're like our children too. So I ask if they can go and stay there. I know in my own house when I moved, that's what I did. I actually had my 2 cats stay with my daughter. We tried the first 3 days. for the agent open house that we would have the cats in a crate and take them out with us, and it was just too stressful for them. So for their sake, that's how I ended up doing that. If they have to stay in the home, that's fine. They're either crated or they're actually taken out for a walk or taken in the vehicle with them when they leave the house. It's always the best situation. And I have had it where somebody came in to see a house, and the first thing the dog did was roll on its back and have a little accident right in front of the family. So yes, the young couple went through and looked at the house, but the father that was with them stayed at the front door.
Yeah.
And he was not letting his kids buy that house, because goodness knows how many times that pet's actually done that in that house. And he's just going, you know, there's another house to buy. We won't buy this one.
Right.
So this is why it's so important to have the processes in place. Everybody knows what they're going to do, and this is what happens, and it's a smooth process then.
All right, so some sellers become defensive sometimes when I bring up, you know, that a home staging consultation is part of my marketing and my listing. They become defensive because they feel like they don't need it. What would you do in a scenario like that?
It's quite often, there's two scenarios there. One is that their friends and family are always telling them how beautiful their house is, which of course makes them feel good. And the thing is, they are telling them that for a reason, because they know that couple well, or that family well. They know that everything in that house is a reflection of their memories and their life together. And of course it's beautiful, it shows off that happiness. But the thing is, when a buyer comes in, they don't necessarily want to see every memento that you had when you went on your trip to Mexico. Or they don't want to see all the family pictures. I don't know about you, but I can't pass by a baby picture or a wedding picture without stopping to look at it. Now, the average buyer, according to the current stats out, is that you have about 7 minutes with that family in your house looking at your property. So for 7 minutes, do you want them looking at your baby pictures saying, gosh, aren't they cute? Or looking at your wedding photos to see what dress you wore and what flowers you had and how cute your husband is? Or do you want them looking at your house? So I know what my answer is. I want them looking at the house.
Right.
So that's why we ask you strongly to put away the decor theme items, and why we ask you to put away the personal pictures. We've actually had a house we had to stage that was done for the Princess Margaret lottery. Now that house was totally overdone, way too many things in. The lady who had it actually hadn't moved a thing from the time when she got the house. She actually dusted around actually every little thing that was there in the house. But for staging purposes and photographic purposes, to list that home, we did have to put away probably, I would say, 60% of the things that were out. And she cooperated, and the house sold, and everything went along just fine. So it is, the end run is, we're trying to get your house sold. And I ask everyone, are you doing this just to see what you can get for the house, or are you actually planning on moving? Because if you're planning on moving, you got to be committed, and I'm there to help make that plan come together, and we actually get your house sold. And then I can show up at your new house and help you set up everything there if you want, or you're on your own. But basically, that's how we're going to handle it, is that you're going to start packing now because you are moving.
Right, okay, so when some sellers say that they can declutter their home without the help of somebody, what happens in this case?
Well, it's very good intentions, and I understand what they're doing. They think they've watched enough TV shows, or they know what the word declutter means, so they're definitely heading in the right direction. But oftentimes I'll arrive at the house, and what happens is that they've put too much away, and then the house looks sterile. So there's that fine line you have to walk. You have to keep enough things out that actually will bring focus to a feature wall or a fireplace or some feature that's there in your home. So that's why I need to see the things that you have. I would much prefer I came in, spent just a half hour with you, and what I do is I use green painter's tape, and I put tags on. These are the things that need to go. Green means go. So that's how you know you're going to pack that away. And there's the process again. There's a process to every step in our company. They're time tested, they work, and we want you to follow them as closely as you can. Now, not everyone will put absolutely everything away that I ask, and other people put away way too much. I like it just to be perfect, and then we go ahead and we have great listing photos. So that's how I handle that, and I usually find that I use things that the person owns in a far different way than they've ever used it before, and I always get that comment, I would have never used this thing in this way, but geez, my house looks nice now. So that's why I ask that we are allowed to come in and do that consultation for that client.
Now, I have sellers that that have obviously bought and sold with me many times, and they tell me I've never had to stage before. How would you approach that?
I run into this all the time. I've bought and sold many, many houses, believe me. My husband doesn't even go and look at houses when I buy them anymore. I just buy them, and he shows up that day and goes, "Is this it, honey?" So basically, what happens in that case is that they just don't understand how houses are bought today. I was recently talking with an agent, and their remark was, she can't even get the buyers, to leave their home. They're looking online. They're doing her job, actually, is what they're doing. They're trying to see online all the listing photos, and they're saying, we can't see anything that we'd even want to be bothered to drive out and see. Therefore, she can't even get them to come out and look at a house. So that's why it's really super important that we do stage them properly, so that when they look at those listing photos, which are very small online, they have to pop them open to make them bigger, that the room is actually shown to be spacious and light. That's two things that sells homes, is space and light. So we definitely have to have that happening, and done in a neutral way, whether it's paint colors, furniture, decor, but we have to get them interested enough that you get your property onto their must-see list. And if we don't do that, they're not coming out to see. And that also falls into place with price and things too. If you price yours at the highest, you're not going to get the greatest number of feet through the house. Same theory. You got to get them in, falling in love with it. Buyers will always tell you they're buying on price, and they're actually buying on emotion almost every single time.
Of course.
So that's why we want them to consider having that staging consultation. It's just the way things are done now. 91% of Canadians, the latest stat is that they find their house online. So if you're not doing things to appeal to that, and when you make a YouTube video for the property and things like that, you don't get the results that you're looking for. You really do want to have everything staged properly for the photographer to get those great photos, so that you can actually get those people into your door and see your great house.
So for today's final question, another thing I get asked often is, what about replacing carpets and light fixtures and kitchen cabinetry? How would you explain this to a home seller?
Okay, I have the most adamant home sellers that will always say they will not ever will they ever spend a penny on doing that kind of thing. They don't want to go through the muss, the fuss, they don't want to go through the expense. But the thing is, the buyer will add almost triple the value of that one item to their list of why they're going to give you a lowball offer. So it's always better if you go ahead and do the things yourself. Appliance stores always have specials on where you don't have to pay for a year. Fine, get the appliances delivered, pay it out as soon as you sell your house. You have the money, just pay it out. Yeah. If you want painting done, I work with 3 different painting companies. They have teams of men. I actually recently just had a house done. It was painted overnight, during the night, and I was there staging the next morning at 10 o'clock. And they give you the same price as a builder would get. So you're not going to get anything less than that. Somebody has insurance anyways. You might get your neighbor to do it for free, but I'm talking a real trade coming in. A pro job, yeah. A pro job, and the cut lines are beautiful. Light fixtures, that's like the jewelry in the home. We absolutely want to have those updated. It's very inexpensive to do. I do recommend you use the contractor lines available at the home supply stores. It's what we typically use. If it's a higher price point house, I do complete supply and install, and you do receive my discounts when I go shopping for you. So it definitely gives you the incentive to go ahead and do something like that. But remember, home staging is always less than the first price reduction. So I've never seen it where you've had to put more money in than what you're actually going to get out, and we have current stats on all those things. There are surveys done absolutely every year. They come out in December. They're third-party surveys, and they will show you exactly, if you put this much money into a renovation, this is what you can expect to get back. So this is something that you really need to know, so you make an educated decision before you say no to that home staging consultation.
All right, Michelle, thanks very much for coming on today's show.
You're welcome, Joe. I'm glad I could be here, and hopefully your sellers and you have learned some valuable information you can put to use right away.
All right, Michelle, thanks. If anybody has any more questions or would like more information on home staging, they can get in contact with Michelle Finnamore, the go-to girl of home staging. I'm your host, Joe Terceira. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.